can have three perceptions from one same sentence. It is based on
speaks for itself.
We are the same perception.
No.
Woman, we are, my
No, I don't
partner,
believe that.
the same perception.
If the writer is here
Excited.
and talks about his perspective and the reason why he is mentioning that, yes, but we are getting something different. You told me something and read the sentence and I told you that I think he thinks this different.
I'm reading his sentence, okay? You are inserting your own positivism agenda into it. You think, no, he is not saying
It is
it,
my
he's
perception.
saying it.
It is
Yeah.
my
He's
perception.
saying it. When he's
Yeah.
saying it, we can't deny it.
Yeah.
From this sentence we have two different perceptions.
It's not about perception.
It is my perception.
It's not about perception.
But just we said that,
That's okay.
no, as I mentioned, in positive psychologists always say that you have the willpower of changing everything.
No.
No. Yes,
You do.
the positive. The writer.
I am
The
aware of
writer's
positive
idea-
psychology. Positive psychology is the closest field of psychology to coaching. In coaching and positive psychology, we don't say that we can change everything with willpower. We say that there are always a chance to change at least one person.
The chances.
That's all. Nobody can talk about 100%. Nobody can talk about even 90% or 80%. It depends. What I got from this book is emotions and feelings can affect our perspective, our perception, our interpretation of the sentence. That is the reason that we are here to read this book. How are those factors that can affect our feeling, how the feeling can affect our thoughts, mindset, and behavior, and how we can control it. Maybe 2 factors or 10 factors out of 29 can work for you. Take them. There is no obligation. A book is written not by this writer. All those books that I chose for this and suggested, and maybe I accepted. Deep work was not my suggestion. It was suggested by other people and I accepted it, I loved it, and the votes chose to be read. But I believe that books are to be read. And people have to, I think, not should, have to take the most out of that based on their own situation and condition and perception and of positive or pessimist, optimistic perspective. Yeah, it is mine. You cannot change my idea or my mindset.
What about 50% emotions that connected to our genetics? The writer said,
mentioned.
What about
It was based, it was from another psychologist quote.
Yeah.
It was not by the writer. He said that she, a kind of psychologist in the United States, mentioned that 50% is related.
So
I'm not sure.
So we let our
I
DNA to determine what we are or how our feelings are based on.
Can you please repeat your?
We let our DNA or the things that are inside us already decide how we can control our emotions. We let them
I didn't get your quote.
50%.
Yeah.
That's too much. I mean, if you let our genes control
Based on a
50%,
kind of study by a psychologist, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
You know, woman, I think that if the writer mentions, for example, besides emotions, inner part of our emotion, mention external factors as the same, maybe it can be a balanced view. Why the writer focus more on our inner? This is the problem that I have.
You know why? From my perspective. Because you have control on your inner more than outer.
you haven't any control on external.
Which one can you change easier and more accessible? Inner or outer? Even your brother, thank you, your brother. Even your brother or the officer, those are outer factors that you have less control. But you have more control on your feelings.
But you can try to slaughter them.
Of course, go on. I would love to see that harsh
So would I.
scene, but we can focus a little.
Sorry, I should leave the class.
Thank you for
Session.
joining. Yeah, of course.
I'll continue the next session.
It would be my pleasure. Thank you so
Sorry,
much.
sorry, no.
Hope to see you again soon. Take good care of yourself. Is anybody else willing to introduce himself or herself?
We're still stuck on that. Come on, man. The man's reading.
Can I add something?
Yes.
No, I think we are going to understand the book or the writer. You need to understand the presuppositions.
Yeah.
I think this book is written from the standpoint of view Stoic philosophy, as you mentioned.
How do you know he is not
It
here?
suffers from in imagination more than reality. So it is a kind of Stoic philosophy, and it's going to speak and write about from that standpoint. It is against of existentialism.
Is it good or bad?
I
Is it
think
good or bad?
it has its own pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages.
The book, all books, are to give you something, a little hint, knowledge, perspective, and you can see from a different perspective.
And you should apply
From
that knowledge in
Thibaut
your
Morris,
life.
or Humans, or Ruby's, or Nilufer's perspective, a new point of view, and choose for yourself.
You gotta apply that knowledge, the knowledge that you take out from that book and apply it in your life, right? Yeah.
But you are with the right to choose to accept or disrespect some parts of it. You're not supposed to accept 100% with my eyes closed with this Thibaut Morris or something else. I don't know him. Believe me or not, I
We
don't
gotta
have
question what we're
any
being
idea
told.
who he is.
We have to question what we're being told, yeah, obviously.
That is the reason I asked you who you are. Because if Thibaut Morris is here, I would love to ask him as well. Just as I love to ask Nilufer.
Who was here?
Yeah, I'm not sure. When you introduce yourself from your own mind, it is the most authentic way of introducing yourself. Because you know yourself. With the highest optimistic perspective, you can guess 50% right or 50% false. Because you are not in Parsa's mind, you are not in Zohra's heart.
Maybe the person is so pessimistic about it.
Maybe. Yeah. How do you know? And he says that when I started writing this book, I had one perspective. And after a while, I had another pessimistic idea about writing this book. Why should I write this? This is goddamn foolish, repetitive things. So he is feeling something in different aspects. So you cannot introduce him. The most important thing is your own filters of emotions, thoughts, mindsets, behavior, and your reaction. As I mentioned, you are responsible for your action, not other people's reaction towards your action. I think we are over, but if you let me, I'm going to go over those titles and get your interpretation or idea about what emotions are in the first chapter, how your survival mechanism affects your emotions. Why people have a bias towards negativity. I think it is a kind of defensive, survival defensive mechanism that we get the negative parts easier and sooner in order to survive. It is a kind of mechanism that we have from our ancestors when they had to kill a beast or a kind of animal in order to survive. So, And although, in fact, in many parts of the world, life has never been safer, yet your survival mechanism hasn't changed much. Your brain still scans your environmental looking for potential threats. Yeah, that is an important part of this first chapter.
Did you know one of those mechanisms is the goosebumps that we sometimes get?
Now, what is that?
The goosebumps. You know?
What is that?
All the hairs on your body just
Uh-huh,
stand up.
uh-huh.
Like in primitive, because you know back then humans were primitive, and you know in those old days when there was a threat or potential danger around, you know these goosebumps would alert you about them, and you'd be more cautious about your surroundings.
Yeah, exactly. And he also talks about the body symptoms that can give you a kind of like fever or something like that. They give you, and he says that your emotions and your feelings can give you some hints. Please pay attention. Please stay open to those emotions that you have, nagging or something else, feeling good or bad. Stay a little for yourself, feel them, because they are some symptoms. There is something wrong with the situation based on your priorities, based on your background, based on your history, based on your genetics or anything else that you have. That you are human at this point, you are Nassim or Nilufar. But then to overcome this bias towards negativity, you must reprogram your mind. That is the point that you can make a change. Reprogram doesn't mean that you should change or you can change. No, of course, a part of it you can reprogram. One of a human being's greatest powers is our ability to use our thoughts to shape our reality and interpret events in a more empowering way. So he's focusing on your own interpretation. It doesn't mean that there is a kind of absolute.
He says different things. Some of them are contradictory.
Uh-huh.
But saying the first thing doesn't mean that he didn't say the second thing.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
We seeing both of them.
Just like the book relationships or something else.
Exactly.
The last chapter you didn't read.
That's exactly that.
Yeah.
He's saying both of them. And
Yeah.
I'm saying if you said that, why are you saying this? You know?
It can give you a hint that maybe my interpretation is different because we are talking about one writer. With one
I'm not
word.
against change. Like that's not what I'm saying.
No.
I'm just saying,
I'm saying
he's saying something that's not realistic. I'm just saying that. Like he says that if you don't focus on the problem, it doesn't exist. Like I'm saying, like if you look how severe a problem is, like an abusive relationship really is obvious. You can't just like put your focus on something else and it disappears. That doesn't work. Like I'm just saying that.
he confessed that my own words in this book, he confessed. He confessed that my own feeling, my own mood, my own perspective at every moment of writing this book can affect the words. Yeah, maybe. They affect the words. Maybe because they changed. He changed it. Yeah.
Affect the what?
All those things that I write in this book. Yeah.
So I mean,
Because
basically, what
they
it
are
says-
they are not written with a flash of light in one moment. No. During, I don't know, some days or some month.
He was feeling good.
Yeah, he was feeling good. Sometimes maybe used drugs. Maybe he had a problem with his relationship. Maybe he was rich or poor. No. It is normal. He said that first I had this kind of feeling, then I had another adverse feeling, and then I said, why should I write? And finally he wrote. It means, and the book is published. It means that they have changed. Yeah.
So you know the thing.
Yeah.
Down here because of the book.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing that we gotta remember about what he just said, a few phrases earlier, is that life isn't about what happens to you; it's about what you make of it.
That's true.
That's true.
Exactly. It is your reaction. You are there to do something. You are not a robot or you are not something solid or a kind of object. I can do something. This object is here. Yeah. nowhere I can see you should pretend or something else. But based on all those realities, the first factor that he insists on is awareness, consciousness. So you should be aware of what is around you and who you are and what you want and what you feel and what you think about something, and take action based on those priorities that are important to you. Negative ones can affect you to put you in negative mood, so please try to get control over all those negative ones and change it to positive in order to have more energy, in order to change something that you want.
So pretend. You say.
I didn't get it.
I mean, like, we shouldn't, you know, just judge everything that happens to us based on the very thing that it is. I mean, like, whatever happens to us, we gotta change our opinion on it. We gotta change our point of view on it, and you know, just
We
have a
gotta
better
know, we
perspective
can, we
from-
can.
Yeah, we
There
can.
are some options that we can have.
But pretending that something bad is good really doesn't change anything, does it?
I didn't say that.
Yeah, I mean, like, but it feels pretty good.
Pretending is against all those things that I believe.
But it feels good, doesn't it?
Pretending?
Yeah, fake it till
That's called denial. A lot of
Denial.
people spend their
Yes,
time
denial,
in
but
that
it
state,
feels good.
denying the situation.
And you can sometimes pretend until you make it. Ever heard the phrase, fake it till you make it? I mean, like, sometimes you can fake what you're not until you become what you want to be. That
But
thing.
that may not harm you, that may help your growth. But when there is a problem, like you are in a relationship that is a dead end and you know it for a
Yeah.
very long time, but you're still continuing with it, that's denial.
That's not
That's denial. Faking it is not going to make it, is it?
Then it is not aligned with your priorities and goals. And then faking is along with letting go of all those negative ones and get more energy. That's okay for you.
There is no such thing as denial. It's only a river in Egypt. Denial.
Denial.
that?
Yeah, denial.
Denial. It's a river. It's a
Yeah.
river in Egypt.
In Egypt. Yeah. Why your brain's job isn't to make you happy. It is your primary responsibility of your mind to protect yourself against all those threats. So the brain should give you hints in negative ways in order to make you more of that, I don't know, something like that. So the primitive or the default feeling is not supposed to be positive. Be careful. How dopamine can mess with your happiness? Do you have anything?
It can boost up your happiness.
I don't think so.
Dopamine.
Dopamine.
It boosts up your happiness.
It's
And at the
mostly
same time-
fake, you know, like social media.
It depends where you get it.
For a short time,
Yeah, for
yes.
a short time, yeah.
And sometimes,
And life is short.
Yeah, that's a really damn good point. Yeah.
Sometimes you're addicted to it.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Addicted.
And the point is that it can fake you in a situation more than enough. So you can get addictive with a situation that you can get stuck. Dopamine can do that, can stay on your mind in order to continue browsing those internet pages, Instagram or something like that, because it gives you a kind of short time satisfaction and you stay there.
But don't you think it depends?
Of course.
Depends on
Of
the
course.
source from which you get that
Of
dopamine.
course, of course.
Like,
It says, then dopamine releases into specific areas of your brain, the pleasure centers, you get an intense sense of well-being similar to a high.
yeah.
This sense of well-being is what happens during exercise. It is not always bad. When you gamble, when you have sex, or eat great food. Yes.
Eat
But
what?
also in Instagram. But also
Yes.
What's
Great
great?
food.
Food.
Great food.
Yes.
Delicious.
We can't eat great food. That's what you said.
what is that great?
Something good.
Yeah. So be careful. It is a kind of hint that your mind, that dopamine can put you a kind of dead end or get you addicted there. And what is the ego? Second chapter? Identity. Yeah. That was the reason I asked you who you are. Then we are talking about who we are giving others a kind of identity from our mind. And he says that, are we aware of our ego? What do you know about ego and what is that?
Ego, for example, your name, your family, your job, status.
Yeah, status.
And I think the writer is going to ignore all of the things. And I think I've got a negative view about ego. I think, but I think if you remove everything from your ego, there is nothing.
But he says that it is not negative or positive.
Then
I am Ego Morris
no,
to defend this book. I'm not.
no, then he proceeds, the next sentence, he said, if you have an ego, you don't have awareness. So you say ego is bad. You are saying it.
No. He said that if you let ego control you, please read it. Yeah, that is that. Yeah, read it, please.
No, read.
Yeah, go. Which
I
page?
don't have it.
Which page? Using things to create a story you can identify with is how the ego voice. It is negative issue only when, pay attention, it is a negative issue only when you become overly attached to material things.
Why? Why?
What?
Material things are really good.
No,
For example,
when you are, pay attention, when you become overly attached. Overly
Yes.
attached. Please pay attention to the adverbs. I am an IELTS teacher and pay attention to these adverbs when you are answering those 4 choices.
But material things are not intrinsically bad.
No.
You need to
He,
help.
he says that. He says that parts of your ego, yeah, is your
Can
identity.
I read the sentence?
Yeah, sure. Which page, please?
21.
21 of the PDF?
Are you aware of your ego?
Let me. Are you aware of your ego? Yeah.
The last paragraph,
Note that.
the ego is neither good nor bad. It's just a result of a lack of self-awareness.
Lack of self-awareness.
Yes.
And he says, it fades away as you become aware of it, since ego and awareness cannot coexist.
Oh.
I mean, are you fucking kidding me?
It depends on, yes. It depends on your definition of ego. What is that? What is ego?
We don't define things, concepts like this for ourselves. We refer to great psychologists and learn
Go on.
from them.
What is the definition of ego?
And
As you know.
I read Freud, I read Jung, I read like humanistic psychologists. They're like, ego is something that mediates between conscious and unconscious, and some say that it's your conscious mind. And I can't say that I don't need my conscious mind in order to navigate my way through life, like communicate with other people. Like I don't need my job, or I don't need to have an identity. Like if I'm aware of myself, then I don't need an identity. Like that doesn't make sense. I think he goes too far on that at some parts of the book. At some parts he gets it right, but at some parts he gets it too far. Like he gets to a point that he is entirely denying the ego. He's making it something evil, something
He's
that
not-
we
he's
have
not
to get
evil.
rid of it. In some sentences you can see
He
it.
sounds like, but the
It
previous
comes to the
paragraph.
surface.
Yeah, the previous paragraph is, on the other hand, highly self-conscious people can see through their ego.
Exactly. We should
It means
see
that you
through it.
should not give your control to your egos.
The sentence I read, you listen, right? He said it fades away. I mean, he says that, and I agree with that. I don't agree with this part.
And
And it
Buddha
fades
said
away.
that, this philosophy, when you know your ego, it fades away. It is a kind of Buddhism.
Buddhism?
Buddhism, yes, it is a
It's
Buddha.
like he wants some bunch of monks.
It is a kind of Buddhism, and they are not going to
Meditating all
solve
the
the
time.
problem. They are not going to feed the ego and the material things. They are going to
Exactly.
ignore materialism, ignore the material. There is no material.
Material
So
position.
that's why they don't wear any clothes most of the time.
And how much?
Everything.
How much? How much?
It is kind
Can
of
you
Buddhism.
get control of your ego and change it based on your priorities? Then you get aware of what you want and where you are going.
It is another thing, but
Really.
the feeling
Awareness. Can awareness help you get control on your ego and change it?
But the definition of awareness is
You know,
different.
I think we need a healthy ego. It helps us so much in our life, especially with self-actualization, like the things, the potential that we see in ourselves. We want to actualize it in the like external world. We can't do it if we don't have a healthy ego. Like
You say
if
healthy
I-
ego.
Yes, healthy ego. Like ego is not entirely bad.
It is not entirely bad. It is not good or bad.
Oh,
There
I'm
it is.
talking about the next sentence that he says it fades away and they can coexist. I'm talking about that part. That
Mhm.
part that he says they can coexist. I know that at some parts he is like talking sensibly. At some parts he loses it. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe I'm not sure because he's taking some quotes from some psychologists who think that. But I believe in that it fades away as you become aware of it. Are we 100% aware of our egos? Can we be? So if you get your conscious mind 100%, it means that you are going towards that direction that you are choosing, and you make the effect of ego less and less. I believe in it. That's my own perception from this kind of work.
What awareness program you can give your diseases. For example, I am aware, I am totally jealous.
You're talking about disease. Disease is something
Mental
different from
diseases,
ego.
Mental diseases.
Uh-huh.
Problems. For example, I am totally aware, I am jealous, I am stingy,
Mhm.
and I am still stingy. I am aware. I know. For example, I am not.
In the last chapter, he's working on those stingy, jealous, and all those things. They are biased things.
Some people are aware that they are jealous, that they
Uh-huh.
are stingy,
Uh-huh.
they're Scrooge-like, but they cannot change it.
If they cannot change it, it means that their awareness is not enough.
Awareness, no, they know. Everybody knows. They know. They confess.
No, knowing
No.
something doesn't mean that you are completely aware of all aspects of it.
Knowing is just on the prefrontal cortex level. Like there is limbic system, there is nervous system, there are all these different layers that are unconscious. In order to change something, you have to go into the unconscious mind. You have to go into that part of yourself.
And get aware of your unconscious part of your mind, because
Like being aware
it
is
works.
just first step. It's just the first step.
When we say awareness, based on my own understanding, I'm not a psychologist. I know just some parts of coaching. When we talk about awareness or consciousness, we say be more aware of your conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind. It means that if you get access to your subconscious and unconscious and subconscious mind, you are more aware. You are not still 100% aware of it. You know something about it from the frontal part of your mind, but you don't have access to change everything. You cannot, because we are not aware of all aspects of it. I believe. I'm not sure. Maybe we can ask Thibaut Morris. Maybe not.
Who is that?
Who is that? And he's talking about those things that we attach for our ego. Physical items, your body, friends and acquaintances, parents, child relationship, couples, beliefs. What is that? Loneliness is not, is a quote by Anthony de Mello. Loneliness is not cued by human company. Loneliness is cued by contact with reality. By understanding that we don't need people. We don't need people. It doesn't mean that it is 100% true. We should ignore and
It really
ignore.
means that, but you just don't want it to mean that. I mean, you are interpreting it your own way because you want it to mean something positive, but it's not saying it.
Do you
Not
believe?
fair.
Do you believe that somebody in the world says that you should ignore all people and go to live in a kind of isolated
When
island?
he's saying it, why shouldn't I believe it? Like, why should I insert my own opinion onto his words? He's saying it, I believe what he says.
I repeat the sentence. By understanding that we don't need people. We don't need people. By understanding that the company of others cannot cure us. We don't need them. But sometimes we can love something. I don't need it, but we can have it. I want it, but I don't need it. It is something that happens in all those separations, all those divorce, and all those attachments that we have.
Like serotonin or oxytocin
Yeah.
comes from relationships. They're
Yeah.
just, what are they if we don't need it? If we don't need it, what are they? They're coming from relationships. They're coming from love between relationships, right? Between me and somebody else. So I need human company. I do. I have always needed that throughout the evolutionary history of human being. We needed community.
Yes.
That's denial. That's plain and simple denial. We don't need human. We do.
It doesn't say that we don't need human.
We don't.
Loneliness
we don't
is
need
cured
people.
by contact with reality.
It's the same words, really. Same words. We don't need people.
We don't need people. By understanding that loneliness is not cured by, but the inner
You said
Affect.
we don't need people?
He says we don't need people,
Well,
and then
he-
we do.
Sir, he does realize that people are social. Humans are
No, he
social
doesn't.
creatures.
Apparently he doesn't.
Of course, it is a quote by Anthony de Mello. We
Who's
should
that?
bring him as well, apart from Thibaut Morris. But it was a
Who's that?
kind of quote that mentions that loneliness is not cured by just a company.
Thibaut what?
I agree with him.
Thibaut
He
Morris
said-
is the writer of this.
He said two great things: Stoicism and Buddhism.
Mhm.
That's what.
Escape philosophy.
Yes.
I
Stoicism and
recognize.
Buddhism.
Maybe my perspective is because I don't know them.
Presupposition.
Thibaut Schmidt.
That's a book.
Mm-hmm.
He writes books on Stoic philosophy and Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
Schopenhauer
Mhm.
confessed at the
Mhm.
beginning of the book the wisdom of life,
Mm-hmm.
and I am speaking about Buddhism.
Mhm.
Everything I have learned is and said and wrote in this book is from Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
And Schopenhauer confessed, but he did not confess.
Mhm.
But I think he is writing, or he writes based on Stoicism and Buddhism, and it is a kind of Jesus idea. It's going to expand and encourage people to believe this kind of idea. The idea comes from Buddha. Annihilate everything you need, your needs, your interests, your
Your
ego,
desires.
and the final step is denying your ego. You do not understand anything. It is kind of death. And Buddha calls it nirvana. Denying everything. Denying all of your desire, denying of your interests, denying, and you feel totally free. But I think it is an illusion. I believe in materialism, I believe in material world, I believe in several causes, several situations. We can change external situation. For example, scientists change everything. That if you are not okay to travel, you can, for example, invent a plane. You can invent a washing machine. You can invent a dishwashing machine. It doesn't mean, for example, I can be content with washing the dishes. You can invent something to change your life, to change external world, the material world. You can buy, for example, a luxurious car. It's not bad.
Yeah.
You can, for example, live in a luxurious house. What's wrong with it?
Nothing. Well, what I got from these words in a total way, you cannot get just a sentence out of the book. But from all those words that I read in this book, it says that ego exists. It affects your feeling, your way of life, your behavior. Be aware of that your body, your name, your gender, your nationality, your culture can, your family, your friends, your beliefs, your personal story, your problems, your age, your job, your social status, your role as an employee or homemaker, your material items, my house, my car, and your desires are those factors that other objects of identification and ego. Be aware of them. Yeah. The ego's main characteristics. Here are some main aspects of the ego. The ego tends to equate having with being, which is why the ego likes to identify with objects. The ego leads through comparison. Your ego likes to compare itself with other egos. The ego is never satisfied. Your ego always wants more. More fame, more stuff, more recognition, and so on. More recognition. The ego's sense of self-worth often depends on the worth you have in the eyes of others. Was it? Often, not always. Your ego needs the approval of other people to feel valued. These are those things that we have in this book. The ego's need to feel superior, enhancing its value through people, gossiping, manifesting an inferiority complex, exhibiting a superiority complex, looking for fame, being right, complaining, and seeking attention. And what are those impacts that the ego has on our emotions? In short, most of your emotions are based on your personal story and the way you perceive the world. As you replace your current story with a more empowering one, while at the same time letting go of your excessive attachment to things, people or ideas, not your attachment to things, but your excessive attachment to things, people or ideas, you will be able to experience more positive emotions. You will be able. And the last chapter for today, sorry to be so fast, the nature of emotion. While you do have some control over your emotions, you must also recognize their unpredictable nature. So your emotions can be unpredictable. You must learn to let them pass without feeling the need to identify strongly with them. So your emotions cannot stay with you. Your negative emotions are not bad or useless. How? How can your negative emotions be useful or...
Say, for example, anger.
Mm-hmm.
Like you use your anger to set boundary. You realize when somebody else is violating your boundary or doing something that's against your values or your beliefs or your emotional state, then you are motivated by that negative emotion to defend yourself, to defend your own boundary, like to be really a person and an individual among society. You need to protect yourself. But that protection, you need all range of emotions. You can't just be all the time happy and delightful. Sometimes you need to be angry. And it's okay to feel it and to express it in the right ways, respectful manners.
and do something. Get out of your numbness. Get out of your motionless. When you are completely out of action, anger can help you get a little, a kind of step on the ladder. You get higher and you do something. You say something. You have a kind of harsh behavior, but it is better than doing nothing. Yeah. It is like kind of body
Emotion
feeling.
is energy.
Exactly.
Emotion is
But
energy.
your reaction is very important. When you feel something, your
Mhm.
emotion is so different from your reaction. For example, I'm angry, but my reaction is different. For example, when I'm angry, I try to, for
Distract
example,
yourself from
distract myself, or for example, I want to start again and try for something.
So you're running away
catch,
from
yeah.
that negative
And
energy,
is it-
you're not expressing it.
Yeah.
Is it helping you or no? Is something against all those things that you?
I think it depends on you.
Mhm.
Sometimes it helps you, but sometimes it destroys you. It depends on you.
And the thing that I got from this book is the control that you have, is awareness that you have on your feeling. One of those hints is to be aware of all those feelings and the reasons you may act. When you have control on them, you can be your, or better to say, you can be the best of all those things that you want.
Yeah.
So it means that you have control by getting more information and being more aware of your feeling, why I feel this, your body symptoms, your mind, your heart, when you are feeling something in different situations, you can be more conscious in different situations and get control of those
And
reactions.
express different reactions.
Exactly. Exactly.
Different
For example,
reactions.
jealousy, according to Bible,
Mm-hmm.
is a great sin.
Mm-hmm.
But in sport, jealousy can be a kind of motivation.
Exactly.
Yes.
Without
Exactly.
jealousy, you cannot make progress.
Exactly.
Jealousy is a negative feeling, we can use it. But ignoring it, I think it's something totally wrong. You cannot ignore it. You can suppress it. I don't know what this book was writer. He's going to suppress the ego
I don't think so.
or something like jealousy or other
No.
scenes. Or
He
other-
says that it works. It is. You cannot deny it. But the more you get control,
you can
over-
manipulate
yeah.
your feelings,
Yeah,
especially
exact-
your negative feelings.
exactly, exactly.
I-
And you can make use of those negative items that you
One
have.
of those, Bernie Brown's book that we read here, she mentioned that you can numb your emotions selectively. If you are numbing your emotions, like negative ones, say for example, you are also blocking yourself from experiencing the positive ones too, because you are shutting down the whole system. Like they are working together. They're like transforming into each other. Like anger becomes excitement maybe. Like if you pay attention to it and you attend to it and you really express, like set a boundary, say with your boss, then you're excited, you're proud of yourself for what you have done. And this emotion changes. And that's what he is saying in this book too, like that's what works for emotions. If you experience them, know what to do with them, they won't stay forever. One of our biggest fears is if we let ourselves to feel sadness, we're going to be sad forever. That's why we try to distract ourselves. But if we attend to it, like a caring mom, attending to a child, if we care to our emotions like that, it will transform into something positive, something better.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The fleeting nature of emotions, this shall pass. Do not stay in that negative emotion and do something in order, because this shall pass. And the trickiness of emotions as a filter, am I right? During a negative episode, every experience is perceived through this filter. Yeah. You may now believe that armed with, pay attention, I love this paragraph. You may now believe that armed with the knowledge you have gained from this book, you will never be depressed again. Wrong. You will keep experiencing sadness, frustration, depression, or resentment, but hopefully, each time these occur, you will become wiser and wiser. Consciousness, awareness, remembering that this too shall pass. The evil power of emotions, one quote by Eckhart Tolle, an emotion usually represents an amplified, energized thought pattern, and because of it, often overpowering energetic charges, it is not easy initially to stay present enough to be able to watch it. It wants to take you over, and it usually succeeds, unless there is enough presence in you. I interpret this kind of presence, that awareness, that consciousness that you should have in different modes, emotions. The filtering power of emotions, those positive and negative filters, when you are in a good mood, the energy gives you more confidence and openness to consider, the ability to leave, and when you are negative, a lack of confidence, a lack of motivation, and all those things. 2 examples. About the writer, both cases happened only a few days apart. A kind of negative filter and a kind of positive filter. The external environment was the same. The external environment, but my emotional state was radically different and led me to take different actions. It is something that we should be more aware of. And the magnetic power of emotions, I wasn't completely 100% with that, but it says that when you are in a positive mood, you get more positive, radiance of things, and when you are negative, you get negative more. Breaking the magnetic power of emotions is something that can help. Thus, to reduce negative emotions, you must learn to compartmentalize your issues. Shimigi, yeah. Yeah, I looked it up in the dictionary. Compartmentalize means break it into small pieces in order to get over them, in order to have more control on it. Not all issues are a kind of big package of all those miseries or negative things. You can break them into small pieces. So for my partner, I do this. For money, I do this. You can break it into small pieces and do something.
So you compartmentalize.
You compartmentalize to do something.
Yeah,
exactly. I think it is the biggest, it is the longest word, I think. Because it is really long, compartmentalize. I didn't expect it to be in a dictionary.
In my free time, I practice this word.
Really? better than that word in Mary Poppins, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Haven't you seen that movie?
No.
Mary Poppins?
I have seen it, I don't remember it.
It is really, it was a kind of magic word, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. When you say it, some good things will happen to you. What?
Good. It means awesome, cool,
fantastic. After that movie, because it was a kind of made word, after that movie, they say that when you have this word, yeah, positive. It was for children. It was a kind of magic word for children. And your emotional set points, whenever you experience negative emotions, watch for emotions that give you more energy. So-called negative emotions like anger can help you overcome even more disempowering emotions like hopelessness. Only you know how you feel. Therefore, if anger feels better, accept it. If anger feels better, accept it. It doesn't mean denial. At this point.
I have a criticism for this paragraph.
Okay.
I'm so tired.
Oh, you made the next session. You can share with us. This internal dialogue creates suffering, but does nothing to help solve the problem. Those things that, if I do that, not any more options I have. What if it gets worse? Those negative predictions that you have for future, and that's all. Why problems don't exist? It is something that we should. What you don't focus on doesn't exist. A problem exists only in time. A problem needs to be labeled as a problem to actually exist. It means that I interpret it as a kind of numbness, as a kind of being completely in control of the situation. If you give it more power, it gets more powerful. It is my perception, but not necessarily the writers. but not necessarily the writers one. Yeah. Please, I will send a workbook in the Telegram group. Please take your time to read those practices and those questions and those hints and challenges and stay with them for some minutes at least. Think about them and write. It gives you more awareness about yourself, your own emotions, your own ego, all those effective factors that can affect your actions, reactions, behavior, and all those feelings that you have. Anything you want to add for this session?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please, take a look at the book in order to have more hints from those words, and we can discuss. Yeah, these discussions, I believe, thank you so much for sharing your own perspective. It helps a lot to be in touch with more diverse perspective points of view and ideas.
I like to improvise.
Wait,
Improvise, yeah.
it would be great, but more challenging helps myself at least to learn more. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry to be late, and hope to see you next Friday. Thank you so much for sharing your ideas. Thank you. It was a lot. It is for here, yeah. Yeah, you can put them in here. No.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hope to see you soon. Take care. Khuda hafiz. And sometimes Sadi. وگرنه یک دهن باز میکردن.